Wait, try again. Hello. See, I haven't been prepping enough and I'm not ready. And that's what we're talking about tonight. Whether or not we are ready in unexpected situations. And joining me is Guardian Prepping. So, welcome. 1 second.
I really appreciate that. It's an honor to be here, and yeah, I look forward to catching up with yourself and just speaking about emergency preparedness and also awareness, situational awareness, and yeah,
Mhm.
it's definitely something that I look forward to chatting to you about.
Okay, cool. How's it, Tony, Nathan, KK? Very, very cool to all have you here. Um, so yeah, what obviously got me to get in touch with you recently, I noticed a spike in crime. I belong to quite a few neighborhood groups, and two family friends of ours were, it seemed like it was the same syndicate, same vehicle. Basically followed them from a shopping center, waited till they got home, unexpected, and they pulled in behind them. Guys got out with guns or ham. I think they either used the ones they used a butt of a gun. The other one was like a 8 pound hammer, I think, or a rather heavy hammer. In the one case, the person had conscious of mind to reverse, actually bash the car, then got out the way because they didn't want the car being hit, and then they just sped off and got away. Um, which was quite scary. Obviously, just seeing it and knowing it's people I know, I get quite worked up. And then the other time, same kind of thing, but they were held at gunpoint. They weren't. They were caught completely unawares. These people stole from cell phones to wallets to you name it, to shopping even. They stole their shopping, the car, Alice, and they were left at the side of someone else's home who they were collecting something from. So I think just talking about it makes me anxious, um, because I don't know what I would do in that situation. And you're
Were
gonna
they
tell
able
me
to get?
what?
Yeah, were they able? No, were they able to get home safely though? I'm just asking out of
Yes,
concern.
yes.
All
Yeah,
right.
it was
Yeah.
all. It
No.
was yeah. Thank God.
Yes, that is a good
Yeah.
thing. A lot of
Mm.
encounters don't always end up in that way, but it's definitely something great for that to have happened. That they were just out safe. Obviously, not the event itself, and that's something that we deal with quite a lot consistently here in our local little country. Crime's definitely something that's quite an asset. Um, it's even in situations like that, you can always kind of. I love Canada, by the way. Nice, thank you for dropping by, Tony, and hello to Preparedness Veteran. It's awesome to see you. I've really
Yeah.
appreciated your support recently, so thank you for dropping in. I
No,
wanted
thank you.
to, so I wanted to just to the people who may be watching that aren't fully aware of where I'm coming from, and before I give my opinion about like situational awareness in that regard, hi there, Roadrunner, nice to see you. So what I wanted to do is just speak about a little bit, just for about 30 seconds. So essentially what I do is I'm in incident reduction. That's what I do on a career scope. I work a
Mhm.
lot of the time with reducing the level of incidents that occur within the workplace. So essentially preventing incidents and preventing situations from going bad by monitoring alertness and fatigue. Um, I started to be heavily invested into preparedness about 10 years ago. And the reason for that is because the country was going through a vast amount of different situations. And instead of being, kind of complaintive about it, which I'd noticed was, a lot of people were suffering through the country and understanding that things were going really badly. So instead of being wrapped up in my mind wrapped around like fear, what I did is I was pragmatic about it and decided to kind of prepare for any eventuality, regardless of whether it be, weather disruptions, politically motivated, whether it be job loss. There are so many different situations that preparedness can, essentially save you from,
Mm,
not just the zombie apocalypse, which people
mm.
seem to have an understanding that's about that. So essentially, I've been invested. Before that as well, I was a scout for the majority of my youth, and I just find it strange that people don't like always like see how easy it is to just transition into a more survivalist type lifestyle, and that's what I try and encourage as well.
Okay. No, for sure. I wish we had more females on the stream. Hello, Nick. But hopefully they'll join on as dinner gets finished. I know we're a bit early, and I like to stream at this time, so I'm not completely yawning my head off.
Yeah.
Um, but yes, so what I wanted to talk about is obviously being prepared this Christmas. Okay, a lot of people are shopping. A lot of there's school holidays. The kids are with. I always say to women who I see shopping with little ones, I always say, I take my hat off to you. Like I couldn't do it. Like it's too much responsibility, and it's a hectic thing to do, especially with young little ones. Because that is a perfect target. You know, mom's screaming at the kids, or the kids are screaming they want this and they want that, and she's not focusing on the handbag, the shopping, anything like that. Yeah, so it's tricky. So I thought we could give pointers, a bit of pointers. Sorry, in my experience, I've found that if I go into a store and there's no one in the store, and I've got to go, say, to the back of the store, usually where breads are or things like that, or the cokes or well, cold drinks or whatever it is,
Yeah.
and you see someone following you with no trolley or basket and kind of trying to catch your eye or not, I usually walk the other way and walk straight up to security and just say, listen, there's something's not right. Maybe just check it out. It's happened to a few places here in Pretoria. It even happened in a rather large supermarket, and I wasn't expecting it. And it happened also just going into lockdown. Guys were trying to, obviously they weren't the average, the people, you know, the beggars on the streets. There were no cars. People were not giving money out. And I noticed that these guys would come into the shopping centers trying to get money and trying to beg. And you never know how desperate they are. You never know the circumstance. And I don't know if you want to talk about that. Maybe something that you can use with keys, something you can get on your keys, whether it be pepper spray or some sort of an instrument. What do you advise?
Well, the best combat is combat that you can avoid. So essentially, when it does come down to it, if you want to put yourself in a situation where you see somebody that is being harassed, for example, and you want to step in and assist, just be aware of all the situations when getting into that type of scenario. But for yourself, when you are going into a shopping mall, for example, as you're talking about, having like an absolute understanding of your intuition as well, like realizing that if something feels wrong and feels bad, it usually is. So trusting
Okay.
that gut feeling is also incredibly important. And then making
Mhm.
sure that at all times when it comes through to like, because we get complacent and we stop like trying to be as alert as possible. So when we're traveling down a road, for example, and you know, if we're traveling and it's late in the evening, for example, like we'll sometimes look around us and that, but you should be doing the same thing during the day as well, where you're looking if a car is specifically following you after
Mm,
several roads, and if they're like
mm,
looking at where you're going. And then, as you were mentioning, we were speaking earlier as well briefly, and you spoke about how you know people being hijacked as soon as they enter their premises. And that's something that happens all the time, where you'll consistently find that a lot of people get apprehended as they're entering their driveways. So things like bush, which are actually concealing, which could potentially be concealing potential people that are trying to do you harm. You're trying to clear that away and trying to have an open and clear entrance to your driveway and to your bush, like
mhm,
to the side of the house, so that it's not all clogged up, so that maybe like a few trees or something can be okay. But try and
mhm,
do away with a lot of the foliage and bush that is around those areas, and just
mhm,
making sure that you pay as much attention as possible to everything around you. And that's why I say that we get lazy about it. Sure, it's good to know this information, but to actually put that in practice every day is something that can raise your alertness level. And your
yeah,
alertness is closely associated with you being a victim of crime, because they're looking for people that are not alert. They're looking for people that are, you know, in dreamland, that are not focusing
exactly.
on
And
what's
are
happening.
busy with the kids and are
Yep,
not paying attention to their surroundings. Um,
absolutely.
and yeah, like preparedness veteran says, yeah, people show kindness and they get taken advantage of. No, that's why I contacted you and I wanted to do the stream, because I see it, I feel it. I feel it, especially now where there's this sort of anxiety around, you know, people who haven't got jobs. There is a desperate need for people just to try and have something in their tummies every day. And it's on the other side of it, I feel so sad for them, but I can't give to everyone. You know, you can't you can give to the guy you know, and this the occasional beggar, but it's like becoming hectic. It is a bit hectic. But you used a phrase there just now about the bush. I'm going to have to edit that and use it maybe for one of my later streams.
It's perfectly fine.
Hearing in
Yeah,
the bush or something, or going into the bush. One of those.
no, for real. It comes, and this type of topic, I'll tell you something that I've found, and this is really coming from the bottom of my heart, and from really me like opening up to the way that I really feel about the whole topic of emergency preparedness. Okay, so for me, I try to, as best possible, encourage people to also take the necessary steps and learn a couple of skills if they do have time available. Do it slowly, do it gradually. Don't all of a sudden think to yourself that you're so far away from like your extremist preparedness specialists at the moment, because there are people that are absolutely prepared in every single way, and nobody is ever fully prepared though. So even if you're starting with your journey and gathering a couple of supplies, don't do it to the detriment of your own financial well-being as well. That's something that I also encourage, is that people are mindful about it and don't try and like all of a sudden be like, okay, now I need to all of a sudden get all these prepping items. And then what they go and do is they go to like the local outdoor store or something like that. And then what they'll do essentially is they'll just go full board into it, and they'll buy gear that they don't even know how to use yet. Acquire things slowly, go and do field work with those items, like get the basic needs covered. Now, how to do that essentially is, just to break it down, the principle is, how do you accommodate your current lifestyle and what you're currently needing, not wanting, but that you're currently needing to sustain life? How do you replicate that same process if we were to be cut off from the grid? And that is exactly what that's about. It's what it comes down to. And the understanding about that as well is something that, for the life of me, I cannot understand why I'm actually scared to talk about prepping. Do you know how weird that is? Because of how many people I've encountered and started to speak about emergency preparedness in any way whatsoever. And then we've got this thing called normalcy bias. I'm sorry for rambling. I'll be finished now. And
No,
we've got this thing
I'm
called normalcy bias,
fascinated.
right?
Okay,
So
normacy bias.
it's N-O-R, norm, so norm, so N-O-R-M-A-L-C-Y,
Yes.
normalcy, and then
Bias.
B-Y-A-S, bias.
Oh,
B-I-A-S.
bias.
Yes.
Okay, not bias.
I had
Okay,
my moderator correct me there for a second. So, so yes,
normalcy
normalcy
bias.
bias.
Okay.
Now, to break that down, essentially what that is that everybody's sitting here right now. Nobody really likes to dwell on the fact that things could go terribly wrong. The reason that we don't is because subconsciously we have a protective mechanism which assures that our body and mind are in as good of a state and as healthy as possible. And what happens is, when you start thinking of how bad things could potentially get, you automatically attain a large amount of stress and anxiety, and your body knows how bad that is. So what you do mentally when you enter a conversation about emergency preparedness or anything like that, you'll instantly cut it off as much as you possibly can and be like, oh, why would I ever need to prepare? Everything's going to be fine. Even though you know that there are so many things currently wrong, but you'll like push it off in a way. Sorry to ramble there. When you get me
No,
talking
you're
about
not
this topic,
rambling. No, you're not rambling. I want us to look at some of the comments, but no,
sure,
carry on,
absolutely.
please. No,
No,
you're
no, no.
not rambling. This is we having a conversation. We're getting into the thick of it. So
Yeah.
yeah, continue. So yes,
No,
so people are in denial, I think, because they want to feel so safe. And I think I teeter on the verge of that, I must be honest. But I
everybody
have
does.
yeah. I have had some training. I did community security duty, and they were told, like, you have a list of questions you have to ask the person before the person enters the premises. Also, if you're not sure, you ask them just to step away, like not to come right into your personal space. And you obviously take note of shoes. People always forget the shoes, because what is the one item of clothing people do not change often?
Yeah.
The shoes. The
Yeah.
shoes. People wear the same pair of shoes day in and day out, generally, especially men. And also any identifying scars or tattoos or anything marked that you could identify if this person did become a threat. And generally, it's your well dressed. The irony is that most offenders are guys who are dressed for success, who are dressed to fool you, to make you believe that you are okay. And I have to wait just 1 second. I see I'm gonna have to. We've got a. This little one's been on the couch and it's about to hit the kamikaze. I know it's a very serious topic, but he
Go
was
ahead.
crying. I want to get down off the couch. Yes,
That is truly adorable. That is a,
that is.
a magnificent, cute little creature that you got there.
Yes, that is the new addition to the family. Mwah. Okay, off you run. There we go.
Can I ask the name? Can I ask the
Russell.
name?
Russell.
Russell. That's
Yes.
great. I love that.
Yes.
That's got a lot of attitude in it. I like it a lot.
So yeah, okay, so where were we? We were talking about not realizing that we need to be prepared. Right. So where do we start?
Yeah. So something that just to touch on quickly, Brandon asked over there. He brought up a question, and you are right. I do think it's good of you to bring up some of the comments, and I'm happy to address some of those before we get into a little bit more deeper of an understanding as to why I do exactly what I do. And I'm absolutely a normal, everyday person. Like, I have a lot of friends. I enjoy my community. I'm a family man. I'm a hard worker. I'm not somebody that lives completely isolated in the middle of like the jungle somewhere and that type of thing. Like, I have a real consistent life, and I'm a very active person as well. And I just absolutely love hiking and camping so much that I went into the most extreme form of that, which is preparedness. In every way, that's basically what that is. And it covers bushcrafting, homesteading, all of that. So I just want to go through quickly. Brandon's saying over here, hey, Guardian Prepping, good time of the year to raise vigilance. Absolutely, I agree with you. And it's good to see you, by the way, Brandon. I don't know where, I haven't seen Laura in a while, but I know that you used to join Laura's streams quite a lot. And also a nice person, another friend of ours on YouTube. And then, Brandon over there said one thing with that with a, and then said a 3-letter word that I won't repeat on YouTube. Just not a bad word, just a word that they're kind of cautious on. Yeah, and then Guardian always have to be careful. California is getting hit hard with criminals following people home now in the news. Yeah, you guys are facing something as well, Tony, that is quite intense. The US is definitely getting a lot more, things are going bad across the world. That's the best way for me to really say it. And then Brandon said, I just want to cover these next couple of ones here. Brandon said, Guardian, I sense you've had an incident yourself, which has raised your own awareness of your environment. Yes, as a question. And I could really tell you a lot of stories. It gets boring. I've been mugged so much, it gets boring. And I'm not joking about that. That's because I've always loved people and going out and being a part of different communities and friendships and stuff. In the beginning, it's the most terrifying thing ever, and it makes you feel like you have no ownership over the situation whatsoever. You feel completely weakened, and you're absolutely at the person's mercy because they've got a weapon, usually to this area and whatever. But I don't want to go, and also the way that they'll grab you. So if you are not being aware of your situation around you, what a lot of them will do is they'll try and make you feel worthless. And the way that they do that is they'll try and grab your clothing and they'll really pull on it. They'll make sure that you feel that they're in charge of that situation. And that is the first thing that happens. And it's in that situation that you've lost the battle. You weren't paying attention to what is happening all around you. You're walking in somewhere that is most likely isolated. And it's, as you were speaking about the shopping centers, it's those type of situations that you'll end up being in where you walk alone, where there isn't a lot of, public around you. Stay in public as much as possible. And if you have to go somewhere that's out of public, specifically at night, have protection with you. And I won't delve into the sides of protection too much, but you guys know what I'm talking about. Rid ourselves of the ANC. I can't believe I read that out, Patrick. Try not to speak about politics. That was a comment that I read there, by the way, if anybody's watching.
Not a problem. Not a problem. I think
if you get invested in it, absolutely. But yeah, I just wanted to touch on a little bit there. And Brandon, one last comment that I want to read out over here was that's a real guard dog from Brandon. And the thing is that they're exceptionally good. If you can be alerted to somebody being outside your property, and if it's a smaller dog breed, absolutely. They will let you know before the bigger dogs do. Quite often it's your smaller dogs that alert the large dogs that there's trouble, and then the large dogs and yourself shouldn't go out, actually. If you do know that there's something outside, do not go outside. Let them come inside, turn your lights off. You know your house. They don't. All of a sudden, the scales start tipping, Make sure that you understand that, because you can use the darkness of your own house in every single way to really use that to your advantage. But try not to, I don't want to speak about what to do as the next stage once you have apprehended somebody in your home. But at that point, trust your instinct. Try and make sure that a person in every single way is kept. If you've got cable ties around, if you've got anything to make sure that the person is restrained until law officers can essentially come and apprehend somebody, that's what you're going to have to try and do. And it's going to be hard. And that's why you use things that are not lethal, but that are big deterrents, like the fog pepper spray is amazing indoors, but you're also going to have you've got to cover your nose and mouth as well, because that's going to get everywhere if you spray a lot of it. And keep your fog pepper spray fresh. I've spoken your ears off. I'm so sorry. And I do that.
No, this is why you're on. This is why you're on. Okay, so like for me, I'm not the 3-letter word thingy au fait. Okay, I'm not. I've had a couple of really fun jauls where I have gone to ranges and it's been awesome and I love it. It's just something that I don't know. I've considered it. I just haven't gotten around to doing it, and now I've heard it's a whole schlep. But there are people that get it done for you, and it shouldn't be an excuse for too much longer, I don't think. But about the dog thing, yes, keep your dogs inside, I believe. I believe dogs should sleep inside. That's where they're protected. That's where they'll protect you. There's been too many cases of poisonings, and it's just not cool. What you were saying early on as well about me, right? So I don't have anything. Maybe the kitchen knife. Okay. What, in terms of pepper spray, which one and where should I get it? Which is the best one, and make sure?
I can't ill-advise you directly on pepper spray. I personally have this with me at all times, right here, wherever I am. Like if you come anywhere near me and I'm either sleeping or something, this is underneath my pillow every single evening. Not just this. It's not like I completely have the holy grail of faith in pepper spray, but I'm saying it really can turn situations, and it has many times. So having that close to you is really, really vital. But there are so many toys. But listen, I don't want to go too heavily into the toy side of self-defense.
What is that one? Where can I get that? Like, what make is it?
So this is Ram.
Okay.
Ram Defense Pepper Frog, like this one specifically. You can get that at Outdoor Warehouse, for example. If you go to like one of the local camping stores, or if you even go, there's a lot of different places that sell
someone told me today Blade and Trigger. So
well, yeah. There's a lot of South African ones. I usually have a lot of my. I've got to use this quite cautiously. A lot of what I utilize for defensive purposes is not from the country. They're not locally sourced, the forms of protection, because obviously, there's a lot of people. The people that I watch that speak specifically about defense in every way as well, like the people that I follow, like those people that come out with the latest technology when it comes to defense, those people usually aren't based in here, like locally, because of various reasons. But yeah. I just wanted to speak about that, but realistically, this is the thing. Somebody comes into your home at night and they are trying to break into your home. I don't know if you've seen that one video that came out about 4 or 5 months ago about that lady that was on Twitch, I believe. And when she was on Twitch, they actually came and apprehended the house, and they robbed her blind completely while she was on stream.
No, they like tied her up.
Yeah, they tied her up on stream.
The gaming one, they were gaming.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, yes, that's the exact one that I'm talking about. That one specifically was what can happen when you're not paying attention to what can possibly be around you. Sometimes having headphones on, you'll never see me with headphones on. Like you'll maybe see me once or twice if it's a specific stream, and I know that I've got security that's local, like that's nearby. So that's not. But for the most part, you won't see me with them on. This is the thing about home invasions, and the realistic side to it as well. Just make sure that you have defense near you.
Mommy's got to beef up because her boys are always on the headphones. And the one thing, I mean, moving into a new area that you don't know, yes, there's security and stuff. I need to put their numbers on my phone. I know there are also lots of apps people can use, like Red Alert and Find Me. I don't know. There are a few different ones. I think if you Google them, to have on your phone, that if something goes wrong, it sends a ping out to either your own private security company. Maybe I should look into something like that. And maybe to hide like a backup phone. And what I discussed so with my fiance is that I said to him, if anything ever happens, if the poo poo hits the fan and I phone you and I say, for example, I'm going to XY garage, you know that that's not true, and there's a reason I'm calling you with that, and you need
Mm.
to phone MTN or phone. In fact, we need to do a whole schedule. I've actually got a plan in my head, how to do it and to make sure. And also, if you are able to get to another safe location, the thing is to just see. I suppose once you've never been in that situation, you can't. You feel helpless. But I know when it happened to me about 20 years ago, I screamed. I screamed blue murder. 4 guys attacked myself and a friend. We were sitting in a park, not too far away from a bar, and they came at us and they tried to pick me up and grab my bag, and they tried to put their hand over my mouth, and I didn't think blood or anything like that, but I bit down and I just screamed. And they got such a fright that they actually ran away. But my friend got some stabs in his arm, protective, self
Yes.
defensive.
Yeah.
If they'd had a gun, I don't know what I would have done. But yeah, it's. I still talk about it and I get all jittery. It's not a cool thing to happen, and a lot of South Africans, I believe, suffer from post traumatic stress syndrome, and I think that's why we have so much road rage on the roads.
Yeah, we're a very friendly and kind and loving nation at the same time, though, like all of us together as South Africans. But at the same time, with the things that we've got to deal with, we're sometimes just borderline on the edge. Like,
Yeah,
just push us a little bit further. Just go for it.
yeah,
Try. Like,
yeah. And then you mix a woman in
so,
there with like like what's it called? PMS. Yeah, that's not good. I think this morning I had PMS. I was just biting everyone. But,
no,
um,
I think in a lot of ways, when I speak about us being like kind of on the edge type of thing as well, I'm actually like for myself, I definitely know that a lot of us feel a lot of frustration, and it's almost as though it's things that impact us, like our unstable electrical like situation and the grid in itself and the way that things are. There's a lot of unemployment, there's a lot of crime, there's a lot of things. Like, you don't see kids walking out in the streets ever because of like the fact that crime is as high as it is. You hardly ever see kids in the streets, period, because like the crime's so high. And at night time, every city turns into a ghost town, like for the most part, unless you're in like Joburg capital. But for the most part, it's just we deal with a lot of these things, and it sometimes feels that even if we talk about them, that we get told that no, we mustn't complain. That it's like,
mm,
and that's the worst thing that comes up, because then you feel like you don't have a voice, like you're suffering through it
mm,
alone, and that you're the only
mm,
person in South Africa that feels all of this kind of
mm,
tension and stress. And that's the thing. That's where
mm.
this is where the magic comes in, right?
And
So
it's true. I think only now people are opening up and are going for counseling and realizing after it's gotten to the point where they're literally alienating family and friends, and they struggle to they're suffering with so much anxiety and so much fear that they
yeah,
can't cope. And then of course the psychiatrists put everyone on tablets, and I don't necessarily agree to a point, if in the beginning stages, and if you can get off them, get off them. um that's my personal opinion. I don't think anyone should be stuck on something forever. I think while the trauma is very raw and very fresh, I think it's good to maybe you might need something to help you. Fair enough. No judgment there. um Okay, so yes, we spoke a little bit about, okay, in shopping malls. Ladies, also, I think don't carry big bags, big handbags, unless you've got a brick in it that you can swing it around and whack someone with it. Um, okay.
it's
I
effective.
think, pardon?
Some bags are heavy enough by themselves that you don't even need
Yeah,
the
yeah,
bricks. Some of them are just solid, like, could really. I wanted to say one thing before you continue.
yeah.
So this is where a big part of it comes in, is the outdoor side. If you can even get into the garden, even if you can't get into even if you don't really have the energy at the moment to go like hiking or something, or to go camping, or to into the outdoors, even if you got to go into your garden and just shut off mentally everything, just stop thinking so much, because we all overthink things all the time. And if you just can get out into the garden and try and actually like just stop thinking, like it sounds very strange, right? But the thing is, everything consistently catches up day after day, and we never get a moment to just be at peace with everything. And I don't mean
Yeah.
to sound like, too far into that area, but I really mean it when I say that the reason why I can completely be okay in every single way, and why I can maintain that stability, is because I see my source of calm and peace within nature, and being in the garden, or working with the garden, working with plants, being out on
Mm.
hikes, adventure motorcycling, anything that takes me away from any sort of city and just being out there. Sorry, I just wanted to add that that's the
No,
best solution.
that's for you. Yeah, definitely. I
Mm.
think I love nature. I think it's a huge, wherever you are in nature, it does amazing things for the soul. I agree. I concur, sir. I concur.
It's great.
Okay, so we've spoken about the dogs, animal safety. So dogs should necessarily be kept inside, at least
Yes.
between you and the next gate. I know my
In the
friend who
evening.
is on the show, they used to keep their dogs between the passage gate that was locked and their door. Um, inside the house, obviously, just as an early warning. But they had all the air guns and all the spray things and all of that. But then also, when you with kids, like, okay, let's say God forbid this scenario happens. I mean, there was that case in Cape Town where a guy got in the car, put a gun to the woman, get out, and drove off. But then, thank God, the baby was returned. You remember that? I don't know if you recall something like a
I
story like
do.
that. It
I do
happened
remember
about
that.
4 or 5 months ago.
Yes,
Thank
I
God.
do remember that happening that earlier this year, and it was actually, yeah, continued. There was another attempt similar in a close duration of period, where at a restaurant. I don't know if you know about that similar event. It was like a month
Mm.
apart from that. But go ahead. I
No. So,
apologize.
and the child was returned. But in that situation, is it a good idea to try and say, I'll give you whatever you want. I just want the baby. I'll be quick and don't look at them. You mustn't look at them, right?
Mm.
Do you guys wear masks? Like, okay, everyone's supposedly wearing masks right now. But I mean, the footage that I saw last 2 weeks ago, these guys weren't wearing anything. And my biggest fear, I mean, we've seen it in the Hollywood movies. Don't look at them, because then they feel you can recognize them, you can give testimony.
It's true though.
um, you mustn't look at them. So I think in that situation, I would put my eyes down and say, "Let me just get my child. Just let me get my child, and then you
Yes,
roam free."
yeah, when it comes to kids, specifically when it comes to little ones, like being a parent,
Mm.
I'm a parent, and I'm just about to be a parent of the second one too, coming up, number
Mazel
two.
tov.
That's great.
Mazel
Yeah,
tov.
thank you. So yeah, that's still definitely something that I was going to keep a little bit more quiet, but I always just want to chat about it just for a little bit, because I'm really excited about it as well. When you speak about that type of situation, when it comes to little ones, absolutely do everything that you can to get your kid back, even if they want the car, they want the money, whatever you can do, just get your kid back. That's priority number one in that situation most of the
Mm.
time. However, there is recently, unfortunately, this is recently, I used to, if you had asked me the same question about two years ago, but within the last 2 years, there's been a sharp increase in kidnappings, and that's something where they're not even always after your valuables anymore. Now they're after like a family member or something, and that's something that's on the rise in South Africa quite intensely.
Yes.
And in those type of situations, just never be like, it's so sad that I've got to give this encouragement and advice, whatever. Go to, if there's national reserves and game parks that you can go to, or you can go to somewhere that you know is safe for a hike, and that, great. But like when it comes to where you are in every way, don't be alone, like, period. Just
Mm.
don't be alone. You can't be alone in this country anymore and actually think that that's a safe thing to do. Even if it's just the two of you, don't go down roads that you don't know specifically. Like, for the most part, even though I love adventure and I go down a lot of roads, but I go down by myself, because if my wife is with me, the danger changes completely compared to them just like stealing from me or something. It becomes a whole
Mm.
different story, and we all
Mm.
know that. So when it does come down to things like that, don't also ride robots. It's legal for you in South Africa as a woman. If you're late in the evening and you're riding up to a robot and you need to cross that robot, you can legally use it as a stop street because of the laws in place. And that's something that you're allowed to do because of how crime is.
Is it at any time of night? Or does it start at a time of night?
10 o'clock in the evening.
Anyone who knows me, my friends know I stop street any section. Yeah. No, always. I was actually also followed once. Now, this is 20 years ago in Johannesburg. I was going to a friend's house. I didn't know I knew the friends, but I didn't know where they were house sitting. And I followed the directions and I put petrol in my car. And this guy sort of chatted to me at the petrol station. And I was like, whatever. He bloody started following me. And I saw it was like one of the early gated communities with a boom, a guy standing at the boom in a little guardhouse. And I said to the guy, do not let him in. Do you think he heard what I said? Do you think he probably thought I'd said, let him in? Well, thank God there were people standing outside the house. I parked, I locked my car, I rushed out, and I got into the house as quickly as I could. And I just said to the guys, there's a car. You need to make sure he leaves the street. You need to make sure that he leaves because he's followed me all the way from the garage. So I mean, and I remember back in the day walking the streets of Sunnyside. Yes, ladies, I stood in the corner. No, I didn't. I didn't do that kind of line of work. It just sounds like I did. But you have to be aware. I think I was always very streetwise. I trusted my gut. If I felt that something was not okay, I believed it and I made other plans. And it's so important for women to trust their gut, and guys. And men, if you have women in your lives, if it's your sister, if it's your girlfriend, your daughters, your aunties, your mothers, just check in on them. Like I know for us, we always say to each other, give me a call when you're at home. Let me know you're home safe, And it's so important to do because it just makes someone feel better that they care and that you've done that you call and you get home. No, I'm safe. Don't worry. I'm safe. It's an important thing in this country. I really feel like we're in the wild, wild west. And to make my anxiety less, I need to app my game. I need to register on some sort of an app that could help me in a situation. And yes, I think I do need to look into something like that, and also go and get some pepper spray. I think it's definitely worthwhile.
So if I had a minute of anybody's time and I could do everything possible to try and captivate somebody for a minute, what I would do is I would honestly recommend that people understand the basic human requirements. Like there are human requirements that need to be covered as well, like preterm, like for example, your dentistry. For example, if you have something with your teeth, try and get it fixed. I know that not everybody's got the financial situation right now because we're going through like quite a harsh situation in the country. If I had a minute, what I would do is just say to people that they should calmly, like it's very important to calmly do this, but to calmly try and make sure that they could cover the requirements that they have to sustain their lives. And that's all I would say is don't go into something too heavily, but start thinking about things like how are you going to get water if the taps get turned off? How are you going to get your food cooked? Do you have enough food? Do you have a rotational food system where you have at least 2 months of food at home that you can rotate, type of thing? It takes a long time to get there.
Okay, so you would say 2 months. You would say to have 2 months food stock
absolutely.
available.
At the bare minimum, yes, 2 months. Give me 1 moment. I might need to. I'll be right back. Give me 30 seconds.
Real quick. Sure. Not a problem. Yeah, peeps. So that's a bit of interesting stuff there. No, I'm definitely learning a lot, and it seems to be getting better and better. I actually came across a police video or police meme of how to identify a car. Let me just find it here. So, in other words, do you know the model? What is the model? So the model is obviously on the badge, or the make. So let me start again. So the make is obviously the badge of the vehicle, whether it is a VW. The make of the car would be on the side, at the back. Does the car have any sort of bumps or scratches or identifying marks that can't easily be taken out? What color is the vehicle? Markings or damage, obviously color. And if you can try and get some part of the registration. Obviously, if you're in Gauteng, everyone knows that GP is standard, but if you can try and get some kind of indication as to 2 letters or 4 letters with the color, make, and model, you could probably track someone down. Or even when it's a stolen car, how to identify a stolen car. Little things like that, things that will get you either help get your situation retrieved and become better at your, like, succeed in your problem. Like, some people don't even want, like, their cars have been recovered and they don't even want their vehicles back. Speaking of which, hello, you back?
Hey. So
Yes.
thank you for covering, like, the way that you covered there. I watch a lot of streams, and I mean like a lot, like, to try and catch up on the way that people do their live streams. What you did there was great. The fact that you had a little thing that could have been like that's prepared, and then you had like the way to identify a vehicle, which is valuable information. I think that was awesome to be able to just, and then you made yourself bigger. Like, I haven't seen somebody do that much. I know it's a little thing, but sometimes it's the details to me that count a lot. So yeah, pretty cool and valuable
Thanks,
information.
Claudia.
Yeah,
Cool.
it just comes down, like, the thing that I was saying is just try and learn as much skills as you can, because skills are things that people can never take away from you. And learn the skills to adapt to your surroundings. If you had to kind of, like, I'm not saying go into the bush in the middle of nowhere by yourself. Never do that. It's called lone wolfing. And lone wolfing, the ideology of lone wolfing is incredibly dangerous. Nobody should ever really attempt that. Gather with people that you know, get to a much safer location in the terms of, like, things going wrong, and try and, like, move together as a group. And you're going to need people and community, and you're going to need people that you can rely on. So where Preparedness Veteran earlier was speaking about, like, the safety side, like, it's safety and community building. It's all about that. Like, people don't know their neighbors. People are too afraid to know their neighbors, because if you know your neighbor and something goes wrong and there's a friendship that happens, almost all of us have experienced a situation where we've got a neighbor potentially that we just don't get along with. And that stemmed from almost like a friendship. It must have been at some point, or some sort of, like, there's usually some sort of friendship which maybe turns sour or something. So even though that happens, try to be involved in your community to the degree if you possibly can. Quite a lot of neighborhoods, they have neighborhood eyes and ears. So you could be joined up with that as well, so that you can also assist if you see something strange walk, in the streets or something, or you notice something that's very, like, awkward and odd, then you'll definitely try and, like, be able to spot that and keep. Even if you don't have a current neighborhood watch in your community, start one. And I really encourage you to do that. Get a couple of people together that care about security and protection. You'll quite often find that it's people that also are family orientated to a degree. Try and get involved in that sense in what you can. Preparedness Veteran absolutely on the ball with that, where you got to try and increase your community building skill, and that's what it's about. And that's what I say. I love people, and I love talking, and I'll talk people's ears off. I'm sorry.
No, not at all. Like, I also find putting up certain lights, strategic lights. So before I moved into my new home, I looked at so many places, I can't tell you. I think TG's completely, like, oh God, not another one. When we were, like, house hunting, but immediately I noticed, like, there's not enough lighting in this area. These places are too close to a park. There's too easy access in the park. And I actually phoned an insurance company, and when I was sort of assessing the situation, and their questions were, do you live close to an open field, or an open field or a space, a public, like a park? And at the moment, it's like, then I said no. And I actually realized I did, but it was a club. It was more like a health club. But yes, there was access to. It would be easy for someone to jump over one wall, come over our boundary fence and be there. And I actually suggested at a body corporate meeting, put up big floodlights, especially in that corner where it's so dark. A light is a
Awful.
huge
Yep.
deterrent, you
That
know?
that lights absolutely are one of the most biggest deterrents that you can get, because if you
Mm,
keep your house dark on the inside and lights on the outside, makes it much harder for people to see in general, like indoors. And that's why even when I do these streams, a lot of the streams as well, like I won't do too many lives in the evening because of the fact that I don't like to have the required amount of light. Like even now, my lighting's like dim to a degree. It's not as intense as it was. So I just wanted to also, you see something that came up in the, yeah, you
comments.
can go. Do you want to read some of them out? You're welcome to.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so I think sometimes I flash up and down. There are new comments coming up, but
Yeah,
here Tony says I had one car stolen here. It trashed. Found a week later with many different checkbooks and music CDs. Obviously, they broke into the other cars. Was a write-off. Sorry,
yeah,
Tony. Yeah. Well, I hope you got paid out. Yeah,
yeah.
something.
I really hope
And you
it's
were
just that
talking.
situation.
You were
Go ahead.
talking about insurance. What insurance is actually critical to have, besides perhaps
Well,
life insurance, but if you
yeah.
have a family?
Your vehicle, primarily make sure that you're abiding by all the laws as much as possible. So have your vehicle registered and make sure that you have full license for yourself as
Hmm.
well. And then when it comes to having things insured, you want your vehicles insured and your house insured, because ultimately if something does happen, and see, people, I know that insurance can be a little bit costly too, but try and find an affordable insurance that has very good reviews, that has a long history as well of being, trustworthy, and then make sure that you do have that. And then when it comes to like insurance in preparedness, that's what prepping essentially is. It's life insurance on steroids, because basically the way that works is that you're taking like everything that you have valuable. The most valuable things in your life are most likely the people, right? The people
Mm,
closest to you. That's the most
mm,
valuable as like that's not an
mm,
asset, but that's the most valuable thing that you will ever be around, is human beings, people that are in your life. And
sure.
the way that you can protect those people is by making sure that you have the capability to survive in the like on the outskirts of town or in the wilderness if you really needed to. But here's the problem with the whole wilderness survivalism, right? And I completely understand it, and it's a good thing to master, because there will be people. It'll be necessary for people out of your community, whichever community you form, that have the certain skills that would be required to be able to do some more of the survivalism orientated things, like your fishing, hunting, trapping, like shelter
Mm,
building as well, bushcrafting, all of those things. Like it's imperative that you've got people in the right places to do that, that actually specialize and enjoy that specifically. But then when it comes down to it, it's it's kind of it's a rabbit hole when it comes to how you're going to get the people in your community through the bush. If you say, okay, let's just go into the mountains, there's going to be people that you have in your life right now that may
mm,
have disabilities, that won't be able to that won't be able to essentially like go through the bush in the way that like somebody that's much younger, for example, would, or something.
yeah.
How are you going to leave behind the people? And this is something that I really want to bring up every time, because like on streams, I really think it's important that this gets stressed, is how would you take the people who are too young, too old, or not physically capable in that moment? How would you get those people into the bush? It's very idiotic to think that needs to
Mm,
be like bugging out completely. What you're going to
mm,
do is try and understand beforehand. Look at your local region, your local area, find areas where there are not a lot of people that you could escape to. Look at different methods that you'd be able to use, escape routes to get to those safe locations. And then at those safe locations, you should be able to have a community that you took with you, rather than believing, because look, I can bushwhack all day long. Like I have no problem going through the bush as far as I need to and going through very heavy vegetation. You should
mm,
see the scratches and that are on my arms specifically from doing that. But that's not
mhm.
like the point. The point is that not everybody's capable of doing that. And
Yeah.
what type of life is worth preserving if you're willing to let the people that are close to you down in a way by completely abandoning them? That's never something that
Mm,
you want to do. And that's just something that
mm,
I want to stress as well. So understand from a topographic, like understand maps, look at your region. Even if you're in the middle of a city, what are the safest ways to getting out, and how can you stay informed enough that you would be well ahead of things coming up, that you could essentially avert danger by knowing how to get to a place fast enough. That's what it's about, is how do you escape? How do you get out? How do you make sure that you can get the people in your life out? And how do you make sure that you can provide the basic essentials for life? Sorry, that's what it comes down to.
No, that's amazing. All
That's
right.
insurance.
Yeah, that's the insurance. Okay. Would you? I mean, I saw there was a question. Do I use cards or cash? So I do use cards mostly, and also banking apps. But I prefer to. I do try to keep a little bit of cash on me, but yeah, not very much. Oh, sorry. Long week, long year week.
No
Forgive
problem.
me.
That's no problem at all.
It's just hitting me. Thank God we did this early.
No,
But yeah,
it's almost
shopping.
weekend.
Yeah,
One more
thank
day.
God.
One more day from weekend.
Can't wait. No,
Yeah.
in fact, I wish I'm sure there's a tool that you can wear that you can have on your keys. So I always keep my keys. I think it's important for women to know your bags, and I think for men as well. Like, men say, "Oh, I don't have my keys, my wallet. Where's everything?" My bag is decompartment. No, help me here.
Decompartmentalized, right?
There we go. Thank
Something
you.
very
Yes,
close to
that
that
one.
at least.
Yes. So I know that in this pocket I keep my keys. In this pocket I keep my cash. In this pocket I
Yeah.
keep my phone. Actually, I always keep my phone on me. But yes, it's kind of like you have to be organized. And do not carry your ID and your driver's license in the same bag with you at all times. Don't do that. That's just stupid. And I found a brilliant way if you are going away, if we're ever allowed to leave our borders again, what I do is also email certified copies of your ID, your passports, your travel documentation to yourself, to a Gmail account, so that if, God forbid, anything goes wrong on that side, you lose your luggage or something, you have a digital copy of of those documents.
Yep, and keep them in one place. Keep them organized too.
Yeah, keep them organized and have a copy on email that you've sent to yourself or to friends or to other people. What do you think? Do you think having a location knob on, the location little pin on your phone is a good idea?
Well, okay, I just want to answer one quick question from Roy. Well, just say something about what Roy said, and then I'll ramble about my opinion about like online privacy and stuff, like in here in a second too. So Roy Hayes over there says, also you got a nice compliment there from Nessa. Just wanted to point that out too. Yeah, Fiery Nessa over there said, "Smart girl, Ruthie." So I just wanted to point that out too. Really, it definitely is entertaining speaking to you because you can hold a very solid conversation, and I genuinely appreciate that. So Roy, it really matters. Roy Hayes says, try to always avoid choke points such as bridges and such. That's so important too. That's something that definitely needs to be raised, and it's a good thing that you brought that up, Roy, because when it comes to like understanding where dangerous points are and making sure that you can't be trapped in is something that's incredibly important. So about internet security. So here's something that I'm very invested in as well. The reason why is because of the way that I have an understanding for it, and there's a lot more that I'm learning consistently, but I have an understanding for the way that those type of things work. And when it does come down to it, there's no way that you can hide. That's unfortunately the truth is that the amount of knowledge and the technology capability that they provide to the public when they're designing new technologies, the amount of limited technology that we get really like such limited access to the latest technologies that are out there. And if you don't believe me on this, you can definitely look up how long it takes military sometimes to allow the public to utilize some of the technology. It can take up to 10 years. So we are essentially 10 years behind. And if you look at Moore's theory, where technology growth is exponential, because it grows upon itself. So essentially, as technology gets better and you get better
Bigger,
pieces,
bigger, big.
GPUs,
Yeah.
it gets faster and faster all the time. So it goes up like that,
Yes.
right? It's exponential
Yes.
growth. And the
Yes.
thing is, that's Moore's. It's MOORE. If anybody watching, MOORES, Moore's law. So Moore's law is that technology
Yeah.
is exponential. And now the way that works essentially means that when you're going into the understanding that you can somehow change from WhatsApp to a more privatized social media thing, like the technology that we're sometimes under the illusion that can protect us, like your VPNs, they do nothing. Like you can try and believe the adverts that tell you we will make sure that none of your information gets out. There's absolutely no way. And this is the realization that the further that you go down into this rabbit hole, you find out that there is hardly any way whatsoever that you could actually be protected. There are measures that you can take to be a little bit more protected, sure. I don't want to discredit all of it, but I'm saying that for the most part, if somebody wants to see you through your webcam or through your phone or through anything like that, if they want to listen to you because you're involved in something that you are stepping out of the law by a very far measure, they will absolutely be able to track you. Whatever VPNs you think that you can hide behind, you cannot hide behind them. I promise you. And I've definitely seen this through and through where, there's absolutely no way of getting out of it right now. And you and I are making YouTube videos. We're just feeding we're just feeding ourselves.
The algorithm. We're just feeding the algorithm.
Yeah, we are.
We know you are listening. We know you are out there. We know.
I think the way that they can do targeted advertising, though, how sometimes you're like talk about a certain topic, then YouTube pops up with an advert of the same thing that you were talking about precisely. That same way is also how they can track certain things that you're talking about. They're not listening to us, for example, like they don't have people listening to us all the time. But when you say those keywords specifically and you go off on a bit of a, down too much of a rabbit hole and say things that they're not comfortable with you saying. Yeah. So they can definitely see you all the time. And have you seen, just closing off, preparedness veteran adding to the big collective. So there's an episode of Black Mirror that I won't get into that. But if you haven't watched Black Mirror,
no, I have. In fact, I'm going to watch it again and again. I loved it.
It's so good, right? And some of those things are coming true. Some of those more eerie kind of
the social credit score, all of that. I mean, my son's 16 and he's already on it. He's like, he'll come to me and go, Mom, guess what? China's great. Social credit score. Like he's on it, right? He gets it. Thank God he gets it. But you know what I mean? He's part of this forward thinking narrative that's like he's almost tongue in cheek about it, because I'm of course the complete opposite. But that's a conversation for another time. That's a conversation for. We love China. Woohoo!
Yes. No. I can give some. I could get myself into so much trouble, and I know you could too as well. But at the same time, I will say that I love all nations, and there's parts of all nations that I've grown to love. As I say, I've traveled immensely, and I've been fortunate enough to do so, and I've seen the beautiful sides to a lot of different nations. And I really do think that in every part of the world, we do have amazing and incredible people. So I know that when you mention China, you're not mentioning like the specific people per se. It's what's happening there more. I know exactly what you're speaking about. And there's also here,
It's the what do we call it? It's the. I'm trying to think of a word. I'm really moch tonight, so my vocabulary is really falling behind me. Sort of the inculcated, almost like a capsule that's engulfed them up that they can't seem to get out of, But it's so sad, and I mean, I don't want to say these things when you're on the stream because I don't want to jeopardize anything of yours. But I'll come out and say it. I don't know. I very a religious friend of mine actually said no, but you said we don't talk religion, so we won't talk religion. But it's just ironic.
I know it's just religion, ironic, politics, and race that I don't touch on.
That demographic doesn't hold the same demographic like I do. Like, where's the pudding? Just 1 second. We're gonna get the little. It doesn't like a pillow necessarily. It likes the floor, and I'm actually waking it up because it's gonna keep me awake. So this would be hors d'oeuvres. In fact, your name is not Russell. It's called hors d'oeuvres. In some parts of the, you can't even see him. Can't even see him. Look at that.
You can see a vague. That is adorable, Ruth. That is.
You would be a little hors d'oeuvre. Yes.
Yeah.
You would. So
I'm gonna stop my cam because I just done. You don't need to go. Just bring Russell up one more time quickly. I just want to show somebody here. Just
okay. Hold on.
Just
hold
if you can, just for a second.
Okay. Say hello to the big world. Look at the camera. And we're still camera shy and sleepy.
Yeah, I just wanted my little one to come up and have a look because yeah, I didn't. Yeah, she doesn't
Yes,
obviously.
hopefully one day we can meet. You can meet him if he's not too big. Yeah.
Yeah. No, she's got a big heart for animals, and it's definitely something that I admire. I know that we're also going a little bit past our mark at this point.
Yeah. No, look, I think that we should do this again. Like it's a current topic. It's things that are always relevant. There's always something new you can learn. We haven't even bumped the surface. Right?
Yeah.
We haven't even touched the surface. We haven't made a ripple of how aware you need to be to realize that you are a target, whether it be in your own home, whether it be in your local mall. People watch, and make friends with security guards. Make friends with people in the shops that you know. Let people get to know you by name. Let people become aware that you are there.
That you're present,
yeah, that you're present, because the people that sort of get like tanked on is the people that are invisible, if I can say it like that.
Yeah.
You know.
So once the thing about just before we close off, I did want to say hello to Cameron there. Always good to see you. Cameron's become quite a good friend of mine over time. It's definitely
cool.
somebody that we'll chat to each other occasionally. And because I've got such a hectic life, he's somebody that understands if I don't reply like instantly. And he's like, okay, he's going to get back to me eventually. And I really appreciate that, Cam. And I mean that. Thank you. It means a lot having a friend that, like, because all through my life I get so busy and stuff. And it's nice to have a friend that I can really chat to every now and again and just, give a little bit of, just have a bit of a banter across one another. Before we close off though, lastly, what I wanted to say is that once you do go down into the preparedness rabbit hole, you'll find a lot of people that are truly caring, that are loving to others as well, that are doing it because they want to protect their families, and they really have the biggest hearts out there. And it's not something that you ever need to feel intimidated by. Sure, there are people out there that are going to say that, like, yeah, these new preppers and stuff, they'll actually like chirp other preppers. Fortunately, I'm completely out of that because I've got like credentials that back me quite strongly. But like, there are people that will, if you're getting into it, they'll actually shun you for getting into it. But I will always give you the encouragement and say that if you're starting to get into emergency preparedness, start a small little garden, grow a little bit of things like potatoes and tomatoes, simple, basic vegetables. Get to understand how to grow them, like learn as much as you can from other people. We've got the internet right now, so it's a great source of information. There's so much content out there. Like, I'm always willing to, like, chat to people too. Just go through into the emergency preparedness rabbit hole and really enjoy it, because there's so much. Once you start learning a little bit, you absolutely start like seeing more and more. The more you learn, the more you realize how little you know, right? That's the whole, I forgot who said that originally, but it's not my quote. I'm just saying
no.
But
this is the thing. Just be aware of your surroundings. And that's the problem with people. And that's why I think we're so easily manipulated, because we're so involved in our routines. And the more we in our routine, the more comfortable we are. And we think we're invincible and we can't get touched. And that unfortunately has led to the downfall of great civilizations, great people, civilizations. Oh, it will never happen. It could never happen to me. Wah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, lift them blinkers, people. And be aware to your fellow person that's struggling. Be aware to maybe a neighbor who needs your help or an old friend. Reach out to someone this December. Do something that freaking scares you and love life.
Yes. I'll close I'll close just before I jump off. And I love that, by the way. That is awesome, Ruth. I just want to say before I close off, just try and improve consistently as a person and be compassionate to others as well. Like, care about other human beings. Be cautious though at the same time. Your kindness can sometimes get the best of you. But in general, like, just realize that if you are concerned and moaning and complaintive about things, rather become active and learn skills and try and get that 2 months like food rotation going. Try and do little things like that, and like just learn if you can. Learn as much as you possibly can, and just try to just try to be cautious out there. Thank you for having me up on the stream. I really appreciate it, Ruth.
Pleasure.
You're a special person. Stay exactly how you are, and you'll grow over time, guaranteed. I know that you're also like growing your channel at the moment, and if anybody over here from our side isn't subscribed to Ruth, please do so. And thank you, everybody.
I talk lots of weird stuff, and we do lots of things, and anyone who ever wants to come on is always welcome. I like also talking, and TG would say sometimes I like talking lots of poop, but sometimes I'm fine. I'm always learning. I'm always experiencing things. I love it. So yeah. But stay on. We're going to say cheers to our viewers. Everybody, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I know we didn't stream Thursday. I'm still juggling Tuesdays and Thursdays. Some Tuesdays are just too hectic. But we're going to have interesting guests on again, maybe from Pandata coming up in the next week. And have a great December. I actually stood in the shop today and I realized, like, I totally missed November. There was no November. I don't know what happened to November. I swear. It was like one the minute here, gone the next. Poof, gone.
No, this year's also gone very quickly though.
No, I think it's with age. I think as the older you get, the quicker it goes. But for me, November, I was like in the shop realizing, oh my God, like it's the 2nd of November. Crazy. Oh, thanks, friend. Awesome stuff. Awesome. Yeah. Thanks, Roy. Thanks, Tony. Thanks, Nick. Cameron, everybody, Fiery Nessa, Rosie, lovely. All right, guys, have a fabulous weekend. Be safe.
Bye-bye.
Stay on you. But
all right, bye-bye, everybody. Keep well.
Cheers. Nighty night.